We're going to continue our lesson on collecting data. Remember, you've got a lot of vocabulary terms in your notes that you need to reference to. I have put 4 methods of collecting data here that we can use in example 4. So example 4 says identifying methods of data collection. Identify the method of data collection described in each situation. A part says a researcher records whether people at a gas station use hand sanitizer. All right, so it doesn't say that he did anything other than just observe. So it just says the researcher records. So that just tells us that he's just watching people at a gas station and he's just recording whether they use hand sanitizer or not. So if you're just watching and you're not changing anything, then that means you are doing an observational study. So A part would be an observational study. Again, you can refer to this right here to see if that makes sense to you. B part says a landscaper fertilizes 20 lawns with a regular fertilizer mix and 20 lawns with a new organic fertilizer. The landscaper then compares the lawns after 10 weeks and determines which fertilizer is better. All right, so he fertilizes 40 lawns altogether, 20 with a regular mix and 20 with this new organic fertilizer. Then he waits 10 weeks and he goes back and looks at the yards to determine which fertilizer is better. So this would be called an experiment. An experiment because something is being applied. Okay? So again, in these type of questions, identifying the method, usually the wording will kind of tip you off to what kind of method of data collection they're using. Example 5, identifying correct bias in survey questioning. A dentist surveys his patient by asking, do you brush your teeth at least twice per day and floss every day? Explain why the question may be biased or otherwise introduce bias into the survey. Then describe a way to correct the flaw. All right, so if you're at the dentist, of course, they're supposed to ask you if you brush your teeth, but patients who brush less than twice a day or do not floss every single day may be afraid to admit that to the dentist. And since the dentist is asking that question directly to their face, it kind of puts them on the spot. So you could improve this by maybe having a questionnaire where patients just kind of do answer a couple questions on paper and then drop it in an anonymous box on the way out. Maybe the dentist could ask, what do you do to take care of your teeth, and let them kind of leave it as open-ended instead of saying, do you brush your teeth twice a day and floss every day? So there's a couple ways that could improve on that. But again, we all know you go to the dentist, that's kind of their job, is to ask you if you're brushing your teeth and flossing. And if not, they're going to encourage you to do so. But that could lead to some bias just because kind of puts the patients in an uncomfortable situation if they're not already doing that stuff. So here's some things to avoid. To avoid biased questions, you need to avoid questions that encourage a particular response. You need to avoid questions that are too sensitive to answer truthfully. And you need to avoid questions that do not provide enough information to give an accurate opinion. And you need to avoid questions that address more than one issue, because that may become confusing and cause some bias in the questioning or the answers. All right, that's all for this lesson on collecting data. If you have any questions, please let me know.